Well, it's very unfortunate today that many general overseers do not even know their duties, they don't know their right under the law, and as well as some members of the trustees of the church. Well, we've been able to organize a very good, convenient, and also structured system that could assist pastors in their church, um, trying to help you as a pastor to ensure that you have a formidable structure for your church. That church that you call small today is an entity on its own, and the government look at it from the angle of the law, not the way you look at it. The mistake that we do, or that we have experienced in the past, is the fact that general overseers, leaders, most time we misinterpret or we don't put in place the place of the Holy Spirit and that of the law. So we try to come up with a structure that can assist the church, that can help the church to be able to have this a structure in place that will help the future of that church you are planning today. So what does this entail? Well, this package is going to be a masterclass for pastors, general overseers, leaders who want their church to strive at the same time want their church to live after them. You ask me a question, and the problem we have is that many church dies immediately the overseer dies. But once this is put in place, it will help the church to live above and also live beyond. So we have this three model structure that we have. The level one will deal with foundations, which every leaders must know. And what does the course content that we'll be discussing with you in this model is, number one, what is the church legally? So we'll be looking at the spiritual side of the church and at the same time the legal identity of a church. These are two different things. Most time we try to mix everything together, but they are two different things. And the church is seen as an entity, a church also is seen as life, a church also is seen as God giving it to us to work on. So number two, we'll also be discussing with you also elaborately the charity part of the church. At the same time, comparing with our own ministry. Some people say my church, my church, my church. I've seen pastors, leaders who spend all their money on the church, building this church structure, all the fund they have, they put it on the church. But listen to me, these are not same thing. At the end of the day, in the future, the wife will come and say their husband have labored so much on this entity. And so if there's no proper structure in place, you discover that church will collapse and there will be more of legal cases in the court of law. The number three is that we'll be looking at the differences, between the UK system of the charity church, at the same time the African system. God gave the African, the opportunity these days, especially to migrate down to Western world to organize or to establish church. But you know what? It's not the same thing. The law that regulates the Africans' law is not the same as what we have in the UK under the charity law. All right. So then also the fourth leg is that I will also be teaching you on the why ignorance destroy the ministries, because there's no ignorance at the law. So leaders will be able to understand the church that is not, just spiritual, but as a legal entity. That's going to be the aim of that first model. Then the model two, we'll be discussing in the model two as church registration and legal structure. Well, you might want to put it aside, but you need it now. So pastors, bishops, pastors, general overseers, you need what I'm telling you. Even leaders, including workers, need to have an idea of what I'm saying here. So look at the UK system, working with the charity commissions in the UK, for England and Wales. At the same time, if it's Nigeria as well, or Ghana, or Uganda, Kenya, we will be looking at this as to elaborately to guide your church, to structure your church, and help your church, in a way that will be, in compliance with the law. Number two, in the model two, is that we'll be talking about the Africa himself, the role of an NGO, and as well as also the role of incorporated trustees, etc. We'll be looking at these separately. We'll be giving you ideas how the NGO can be a benefit to the church, at the same time how it can also bring the church down. Also, we'll also be talking about the trustees. Who are the trustees? How do you appoint your trustees? Why do you put those people that you appointed? Why do you put them there? What are the future of the church? We're looking at trustees who are meant to be trustees of the church. We'll be guiding you. We'll be giving you provisions. We will not charge you on this. So we'll just guide you we can advise you and ask to go about this. And I know that will be of help to your ministry as well. So these trustees, at the same time, we also look at the founders, because there's a difference between the trustees, the founders, and the pastors. So we will be looking at this role systematically, literally trying to bring the importance of the trustees, the importance of the founder, and also pastors, and also put some guideline in place to guide your ministry for you. I think you need this. It's pastor, you need it. And also, we also be looking at what the governing document you will need in. Well, we'll be drafting this for you from A to Z. And if you have some template before you can submit that to us, we can help you to review your document, review your constitution, review your document, your workers handbook. We can look into this for you and advise you based on our experience in the church practice over the years. Then we can also be looking at the case study that's what happened when the founder lost his control of their own church. What happened? So these are going to be a debate, although we look at that as well and give you some advice as to go for the nearest future. And the model 3 in the masterclass, we're looking at the roles, the power, and the accountability. This is where it's more important here. And this is where members used to shout. And I will need to guide you so that your member will not be crying and shouting outside against you. If there's no proper structure in place, they can be shouting outside there. So we look at who really owns the church. Sincerely, it's important we look at this and guide you. Who really owns the church? Then the trustees and the general overseers. How do we balance the role of the trustees and how do we balance the role of the general overseers? Their powers as to their daily routine and their activities, and how do we preserve the two so that it will not cause confusion and so that it will not also destroy the entity called church. So also, we also be talking about how to avoid dictatorship in the ministry in the church cycle, and as well check and balances. So leaders will build LD authority system when we finish all with this model with you. Well, the other level 2 we'll be talking with, apart from the first level, is that we'll be looking at the risk, compliances, and survival of the church. And in this, we talk about the module 4. In our module 4, we have what we call financial integrity and compliance. Under the module 4, we'll be teaching you how to set up when you collect your tithe offering, and the legal expectation of that tithe and offering will be put in place. At the same time, we also be talking about recording of and keeping of an audit of monetary values that comes into the church, and we talk about fraud risk as well. At the same time, we also talk about personal spending and the church money. These are not same thing. So this area, this level, we expose your church account. That is not me to tell you that church account is not your personal account. Then module 5, we talk about safeguarding and legal duty of care. Well, this is more going to be central on the Western world, and although we are trying to extend this to African church now, because the church is evolving this day. So we are looking at how we can be able to present some papers here in our teaching to help you to have what we call child protection laws in the church. The right of the child, at the same time, the data protection of the members of the church, and as well as assisting you to have a database of all the ministers in your church. Some pastors can go to other places and represent themselves as in the name of your church and commit some crime there. Who defend them? What happens to them? Then at what time can a pastor claim to be your minister? What's guarantee? What structure do you have in place? So we can guide you. If you don't have anyone in place, we can actually help you with this. Then we can also talk about the abuse reporting, liability for negligence. All these are combined together. Then module 6 is also talk about employment law in the ministry. Under the employment law, talk about the staffing and volunteers. We also be discussing about the paying pastors legally, their salary, the module, the pay slip. Then we'll be talking about wrongful dismissal, how it applies to the church as well. You can't just dismiss someone without proper notice under the law. Then we also talk about the immigration issues as well. So if you want to create your church in the Western world, what are those things you need? What are the necessary things you need to put in place? There are many churches, churches are unknowingly, they are breaking the law sincerely because it's unknown to them. So we have to expose your church to this. Then we're going to also take you to level 7. Level 7 in the module, we're going to be taking you church discipline and the law. That is to say, how do you bring excommunication and part of your law? At the same time, public corrections. How do you go about public corrections? How do you go about defamation? How do you go about privacy law, social media risk, and co? So all this we will definitely Because we have a lot of modules to discover. We have up to 12 modules. I may not be to finish up this year, but if you need help or you need our assistance, you can reach out to us on the link that we have here. We are ready to assist your church, definitely, and so that the pastor will not be got to be in the jail. God bless you.